There goes that cutoff that I hate. Welcome everyone to another episode of the LPF show. This is episode 74. I thought it was debrief
Yeah,
because
we're so
we've been
used to
doing those a lot more than we've been doing the show, unfortunately. But yeah, speaking of debrief, since we are already talking about it, if you guys are watching Last of Us, we did drop episode 6 yesterday, and it is ready for your viewing and listening pleasures. You can find it on YouTube, or you can find it anywhere you get your podcast. I had some friends say that they listened to the episode already, and they said they really enjoyed it. Even some new listeners um, that listened said that we were good and stuff like that. Like I said, if it's 1 or 100, it doesn't matter. Those messages mean a lot. Like when you guys are enjoying the content, because we enjoy doing it, and it keeps us going to hear you guys say that you enjoy it, because then we're like, you know what, there's, even if it's for that one person, we're going to keep putting them out. So if you guys are watching Last of Us, please go ahead and listen or watch and comment put in the comment section. Shout outs to Allie for commenting on the YouTube one, saying that that was her favorite episode so far. So shout outs to her. And you guys, if you guys did listen to the House of the Dragons, you guys will know who Allie is, because she was the one who did that with me. So yeah, after that, guys, we're going to talk about a few things here that we have. As you guys saw in the title, we're going to talk about State of Play being announced and Pokemon this week also. And we got some few other surprises. Blumhouse talking about making getting into the video game space. Some pretty crazy, weird things. And also Nintendo and Microsoft making a deal about Call of Duty for 10 years. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw the Nintendo one. I didn't see anything about Sony though.
No, I'm saying Microsoft
Microsoft and
and
Nintendo.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I was
Microsoft
like,
and
what?
Nintendo making the deal,
Yeah.
even though it's still going all through that legal things. But anyway, so Chris, before we get started, how you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Finally getting days off. So, um, I have been struggling lately.
Oh,
Uh, Yakuza or no, Like a Dragon. Ishin came out today,
mm-hmm.
and I wanted to buy it. I want to buy it, but I was like, I want to play. It makes me upset because Yakuza Like a Dragon. I gotta say, I hate that game.
Oh,
I hate that game. But if you look on Steam right now, I have 50 hours into
so you
that
don't
game.
hate it?
Yeah. Well, I want to know the rest of the story, and I don't want to go. I'm getting close to the point of like putting in YouTube, like Yakuza Like a Dragon movie, and just watch the cutscenes or whatever. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
so far, I've invested so much time into it that I'm like, no, I'm beating this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went off and did my thing. I beat the management game. There's always a manager game in the Yakuza games, I guess. I beat that, so now I get 3 million yen anytime I do a shareholder meeting. So I'm loaded with money, right? Get the best weapon I can, cool. I'm leveling up. I found a farm, cool. Then I get to it's 15 chapters. I'm on chapter 12, and then I get to this boss, right? I'm almost getting smacked, and I'm like, I survive. And then he's like, and then another person shows up. He's like, oh, I guess I gotta join the party. And he's like another 5 levels up. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I looked up. I don't know who the last boss is. I was like, what is the level of the last boss? It's like level 60. I was like, cool. I'm grinding to like 65, and then I'm bulldozing these kids. So that's all today was. I've been chilling in my chair. I was gonna stream Ishin, but it's just something in me that I'm like, I got to finish Like a Dragon. I enjoy the game. What I hope for what they do for the next one, if they take this route again, if they take this route of an RPG again, don't make it to where if the main character, right, which is Ichiban, if he dies, the game's over. So it's not like any other game where, like Final Fantasy, say you're Cloud or whatever, right? If he dies in battle, your other party members can continue, and then at the end, if you win or whatever, he comes back with 1 health, and you keep going. Not in this. As soon as he dies, it's over, and it pisses me off, and it gets to me all the time. So
Well,
yeah,
that's
but
basically them saying get better.
I can't, man. That game, like, if you look it up, bro, there's so many people. It's literally, I love this game, but the grinding is way too much. Like they made it, they made it way too crazy. But again, this was their first time making this kind of style for the Yakuza series. But the story I've been enjoying so much. I fought a Roomba the other day, which is crazy. I've been getting into those funny like boss fights. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing in my time. I've been looking at playing couple other games that have been coming out. So I forgot what the other one. Atomic.
Atomic Heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that looks
I have
interesting to me. I don't know much about it, but it's on Game Pass. So I was like, so
that's the important thing.
yep, yep,
If it's on Game Pass, that means it's a free trial.
yeah. But how you been?
Because you're already paying for it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. You know, work been gaming. I actually started Tales of Arise the other day. Got into about an hour and a half of that. I just did it for a quick little brief break from Super Robot Wars. I think I'm about 3 chapters left in that game before I end it. So I was just taking a little break because I was like steamrolling, and then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and take a little break on
A
this,
little
start
palate
something
cleanser.
new,
Yeah.
little palate cleanser. I might actually start another game and then kind of have 3 games in rotation. But I think I'm going to start like a side scroll or something because I don't have any of those in my rotations right now. It's just like RPGs. So yeah, I think that's the next thing. I don't know which one I'm going to play, but I'll figure it out because Game Pass has plenty of them. Or I think I have some in my backlog also that I got to beat. I'll check them out. I think I'm gonna play for. I have Gone in there, but I'll double check to see. But yeah, besides that, everything else has been good. You know, I've been watching. It's Oscar season, so a lot of movies, a lot of Oscar movie watching going on. So there's a lot of good stuff. I'll have my stuff come out. I saw Ant-Man on Thursday. I have to drop that review soon. I just haven't had the time, but I'll drop that for you guys soon. But besides that, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah,
Really, just been chilling.
I gotta get to Ant-Man and watch it. I'm trying to stay away from everybody's reviews of like it's not,
Yeah,
blah blah blah. I'm
yeah.
like, no, get away from me.
Get away, get away.
So
But yeah, so let's get talking about what our show topics are going to be. I already told you guys, State of Play is back, the first one of 2023. This year, Sony announced this on their Twitter page. They said State of Play is back. Tune in on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern for us guys. And they already detailed what they're going to be putting on. They said they have 5 new PS VR2 titles from partners, which means they're not going to have, it's not any first party ones, which, you know. And then they said that they have hot indie and third party reveals, which means we're about to get a bunch of trailers that we're probably going to see on everybody else's shows. And then it says an extended look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice. So this already just reeks of disappointment. it I don't understand this, right?
I can
Why
tell.
are we doing these state of plays, these directs, without having at least one of your titles on there? I don't understand it. And this goes for all of them. This is not just Sony. Stop doing this. Okay? Because what you're doing is it's going to be like the boy who cried wolf, right? You're going to keep trying to draw people into these things, keep trying to get people to watch these, and then they're not going to watch them. And then when you have a really good one, no one's going to be there unless you're saying, I'm talking about this game. And that just ruins the surprise element. So I think they really need to gear towards these, like, don't do a state of play because you're not on a time limit, right? Like, you're not on a time limit to do these. So I don't understand what's the reason to be like, oh, we're going to relate. I know the VR2 is coming out soon.
It's out. That was what I was gonna say is that it is out. It's not doing great.
Of
Um,
course it's not. Why would it?
because
It costs too much.
yeah, the price, and they were banking on. I think this was an emergency state of play because so far every podcast, gaming podcast that I listen to on the side, has been like we will be watching. I mean, one of my favorite ones, literally was gonna record. They record their podcast on Thursday, and they're like, you know what? We saw that the state of play is there, so podcast is gonna be a little late on Thursday, so we can get reactions for that. And a couple other people. This was an emergency state of play because the headset came out. It's too expensive, right? Some people did buy it. The reviews on the headset. It is a great headset. It's the biggest, the newest headset right now that has the most tech in it. Blah blah blah. But it's limited to the PS5, which was their downfall, which I've said from the beginning. Then they were banking on that Horizon Zero Dawn VR game, and so far everybody who's played it is like, this is not it. This is not a good game at all. And they're like, oh, so now it's this, where they're gonna be like, here's all the the PlayStation VR games that we're making. So please don't return those headsets yet. They're like, just wait a
But
second.
even then, this
So
is some from partners. These are not even their projects. Like these are going to be like the third party games
I know, but they're
that are
rounding up
coming for the
people. I
headset.
will say that one of my favorite VR games called I Expect You to Die, which is like a spy game. It's a puzzle game. You don't have to move. You sit in one spot and you're looking around the room and stuff. They announced that they're making a third one, which I'm very excited for. But other than that, this this
Look,
state of play, Sony, you should have made it for, find a way to be like, hey, it works on your PC now, and you will make money.
what they needed to do was very simple. Stop releasing these things without being prepared for it to be released. You can't just have one game, especially if you're going to keep it as a sole proprietary to your console
Mm-hmm.
that people are just being able to get. So there's a few things that's an issue, right? Price point, we already talked about that from the jump. I'm not paying the same price for that I paid for the console that I got or more. This just doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't matter how technical it is, how great, how many components you put in there. People don't see that. People go, it's a VR headset that costs the same amount as my console. I'm not buying it until it drops in price, especially in this economy. Like view the room, Sony. Like you know what I mean? Like see who's in the room, see who's getting your consoles. So what that's one. Two, a lot of people don't even have PS5s to get this anyway. So you already cut that in half. Two, people are just starting to get them. You can now finally go on Amazon for the first time and buy a console without it being in an invitation or anything like that. That happened literally last week or 2 weeks ago, where that started to happen, where you can literally just go into Amazon and buy a new console. So there's that. Then on top of that, like I said, VR's biggest issue, VR won't be what it needs to be until you can get games that are going to gear people towards going to VR. Because VR is a technology that a lot of people are not ready for. A lot of people don't even necessarily like being that close into it because it gives them a headache. Like people are just
Motion
getting used to
sickness. Yeah.
3D. Yeah,
Yeah, I
people are
guess.
just getting used to 3D and stuff like that. So you're already going to be geared away from that because it's like, yo, I don't want to get motion sick playing a video game. Like, you know what I mean? So, and especially when it's overpriced. So, even if you don't think it's overpriced, logically tells you that it is overpriced because there's not going to be enough people to get this because there wasn't enough people to get your console and it can't cost more than your console. So, now that they're saying, okay, well, we're going to drop these 5 games, those 5 games, it doesn't matter what they put in there, it's not going to be like a seller. You know what I mean? Because unless you can come out, if you got this secret God of War VR game that actually gives me Blades of Chaos, no. Like, you know what I mean? That's just not going to happen. So then you do that, like that's your top of your show. Then you're going to be hot indie and third party reveal. Look, I love indie games. Everyone knows that. I'm adore indie games. But the thing about indie games, and I'm happy for the developers because they get be put on a platform that showcases what they've done. The problem is a majority of people don't like indie games. And they're going to bash on Sony for showing these indie games, even no matter how good they are, right? Because we noticed about indie games until a lot of people are like, this game is fantastic. A lot of people don't usually jump onto them, right? If you look at like, think of any popular indie title, it's not until,
Hades, when that first was shown, I remember people were like, "Oh, they're copying
yeah,
what's it called? Dead Cells. I don't care for it."
yeah,
And then that literally almost won Game of the Year.
yeah.
So
Like, so it's one of those things where it's unfortunate, but it's the truth, right?
yeah,
So it's not fair. I don't think like, I get it, like you want to have that publicity and that indie, like, but indie titles are going to be great even on their own. Like if you just say like, because the way I would like, if you're going to do indie titles and reveals, you actually have to show gameplay. Tell people what they're doing so people can be interested in the game, right? You just showing us a minute to 2 minute preview of it, like just a trailer, it doesn't get a lot of people who don't like indie games into the game. You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, okay, whatever. And then they're gonna forget about it by the time they end the game. And then you have, okay, we're gonna show Suicide Squad, uh, Kill the Justice League. Okay, like, but that's coming out on every console and PC. So you're doing a state of play. Two of your three categories that you named, actually, not even two, all three categories are all third party games.
man, this is what I'm saying. Like people don't think we need E3, and I think we do.
we don't.
I
We
think we
don't
do.
though.
I
No,
still
here's the
I miss
no.
them prepping for a show. We get a big show, and we go on. I don't need all this little bit of news throughout to
Well,
see.
that no.
No,
Here's the thing. What they're doing, E3 was just what they can still do in E3. They're just not doing it. Like it's the and now again, the problem with E3 is that when you go to a port, like when you go, the format is what killed E3, right? What ended up happening with E3 and their biggest issue was when they were just like, we're not going to do any online stuff that first year. And they're the ones who opened that door for them to try it on their own. If they would have done it the year and it digitally and had everyone just come in and do it digitally, they would have been fine. But because they didn't do that, it gatewayed everyone to be able to do these. And they showed, wait a second, I don't need E3 anymore. Like I can just put it on my PlayStation thing that I've got the same amount of viewers as what you call it. So what Sony, what they need to do, these companies, what they need to do is they need to have either one big one where they establish their titles or stuff like that, or like I said, Xbox's last one was my favorite by far. They showed four games, only four games,
and they
but
shadow drop them.
they went into detail on all of them though. So like they were like, we're gonna show you Forza, we're gonna show you High Rush, we're gonna show you this, what you call it? We're gonna show you all these games, and then we're going to go into about a 25, like, we're going to give them all about 10 minutes telling you why these games have improved, how they improved, why they've gotten better, and then this is what you're going to get. And a lot of people, even though they didn't like those games, well, now they do because High Rush came out and now everyone's like, I love that game. But and those other games that didn't come out, they're like, you know what? It's not the games we wanted, like, but I know more about this game than I'm down to play it. Like when it comes out, I'm a little bit more pumped for Redfall because I saw the talent tree and how all that stuff is,
I still,
right? So
on that one, I'll disagree. I still have no idea what the heck that game is. After they
what?
said, after they said that it's not Left for Dead,
It's not.
it
It's
kind of
Borderlands with
is.
vampires. It's exactly what Borderlands is. It's literally four-player co-op. You have a talent tree. You have you have four different classes that you can play. It's Borderlands.
I mean, it's gonna be it's a Game Pass game, so
It's
I will
just
be
not going to
trying.
be as well. Yeah, it's on game. No one's buying it. It's on Game Pass. You shouldn't be buying any first party Xbox game. Like,
So, I mean, okay. Quick question on the side note: Starfield comes out, right? And they're like, it's not gonna be on Game Pass. You wouldn't buy it. You would wait. Would you wait or would you buy it?
no, I would. I would buy it.
You would buy it, or
Yeah, I'd
I
buy
feel
it.
like you would wait on it. I feel like we were still. Like
No,
I've
no.
thought about it. The more I look at, because I was talking about it with somebody else, and they're like, "Are you excited for this game?" And I told them I was. Everybody was excited, and then they did that one reveal of like, "You're gonna get to go to all these self-generated planets," and everybody's like, "Okay." So,
I mean, I don't mind that though. Like that's not a big deal to me.
no.
Like as long as you tell me the story, I don't like. First of all, once they were like 1,000 planets, I already knew they were gonna like. There's no way you can customize all of those.
Yeah,
What they
true.
should have done, like that, I was over that when they first even mentioned it. Well, I if the game gives me a good story and a reason to travel to these different planets to get things, I'm good. Like you know what I mean? Because we were limited in many other RPGs like that. I'm just saying, is it good dialogue? Is it good action? Do my weapons are my weapons cool? Can I talk my way out of stuff? Can I play the game multiple different ways? And can the game function? That's all I care about. After that, if you know, because like what you call it's like that. What's that game? Really that Odyssey, that Odyssean made that was really good.
Oh,
Uh
Outer Wilds,
yeah.
or no,
Like that Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds. Yeah, Outer
Yeah,
Wilds is the
like
other.
that game is fantastic.
Yeah,
You can't go on every planet, but so what? Like it doesn't matter. The planets you could go on, they are well, immersed. I just think what they should have said is that we have a bunch of planets, and then through time we'll develop different ones so that there's different civilizations, things like that. So yeah, you're gonna. I mean, it is what it is. But if the story's good and I don't necessarily need exploration because sometimes going to too many worlds is too much.
yeah.
Like sometimes open world games are too much. Like sometimes I'm
It's
just
getting to that point where I'm like, I don't
like
have the 40
I'm not
hours to
doing
put into
side quests no more. Like
this.
you know what I mean? Like I can't. How many more side quests can I do? How many more levels can I go up? Like it's not that I don't love, but it's just no one has the time to play those anymore. Like you know what I mean? No one has the time to complete to 100% those games anymore. I don't. At least I know I don't. I want to play. I'll take 20 hours of gameplay if it's fresh, if it's authentic. You know what I mean? I'll love it. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, but I would play it because Bethesda. Like, it's not even about really what I see. I just trust Bethesda enough to give me a game that I will want to play. Like, you know what I mean? There hasn't been a game that Bethesda has come out with where I haven't been like, oh, I'm not going to play that game. Besides, like their like Elder Scrolls Online and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like solo. There isn't a game that they came out with where I'm like, I'm gonna play it.
yeah.
So
But
I would have played it anyway.
going back to Sony, I mean, I'm not surprised with their state of play stuff. It's I don't think there's any memorable state of play we've got. Oh no, we had one where me and you did a watch party, and that's the one that they showed. Oh my god, Knights of the Old Republic remake
Mhm.
and the Alan Wake remaster and something else and all this
Yeah.
other stuff, and all that kind of fell apart afterwards anyway. So, but Sony, I mean, like I said, we shouldn't be surprised. Nintendo is, I don't put like hope into their directs anymore, but I still watch them. Sony, I never go in with high expectation at all.
Yeah, no.
I,
Well, I
I
don't go into any of these with high expectations. After the first year that they kind of just was like you know what I mean. Ever since then, like I said, I the one that I liked this year, and I mean, was the Xbox one. I thought they did a great like. I think that was the format you should follow. I think you shouldn't. I don't care about these like putting these trailers out. You can do those that are not in state of play. The problem with state of plays is not that the problem with state of plays is that we're labeling everything as a state of play. If you would have done 4 state of plays, right, and all 4 of them came with a major announcement drop, no one would complain about it. You know what I mean? The problem is people complain about these because you're getting 15 trailers that you could just been like, here, check out our YouTube. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel like. Because imagine if this, let's say in a world they did state of plays, right? One for each quarter. And I told you, First quarter, Spider-Man 2. Second quarter, Wolverine. Third quarter, um, I don't know, God of War update. Fourth quarter, something like that,
Yeah.
you're down.
Yeah.
You're down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's just those titles, like, it doesn't even have to be anything else. It could literally be just those. And you'll be like, 15 minutes, I'm good.
I think the issue is that everybody's doing these direct state of plays and all this other stuff, these small form shows while holding their cards in their hand for E3 season or now Jeff Keighley's what is that called, the summer games, is that what it's called?
Gamer Fest, Game Fest.
Game Fest. He has like
Yeah.
two different shows. He does an indie
Well,
one. He does a and that's becoming, a lot of people say that's becoming the new E3. And at that point, I would rather you just hold on to everything you have and then do Jeff Keighley's thing or wait till E3 season. And then what I used to miss about E3 was that you'd get the heavy hitters at the main show, and then if you wanted to learn about any other game or see you had a list, and it's like, hey, at 2 o'clock these developers are going to be talking about their game and they're going to show you a little bit about it. And I think a lot of the games that we've been shown now is what that used to be. So like I would
yeah.
go over and be like, oh, okay, I do want to learn more about for Nintendo, say Octopath Traveler, cool, and then I'll tune in and see it.
Yeah.
You know,
I just, like I said, it's more so that you're force feeding because you're not showing a lot of the audience what they're coming in for, right?
yes,
So, like, again, if I'm going to do a Sony, and like, this is not just Sony, this
yeah,
goes
no, no,
for
no, it's
everyone.
everybody. Yeah,
Like, if I'm going into a Sony state of play, I want to see Sony things. If I go into an Xbox state, developers thing, I want to see Xbox titles. If I'm going into Nintendo, I want to see Nintendo things. I don't want to see something or staple around something that's going to be on other consoles because you're not showing me anything. Like, you know what I mean? You're not showing me anything. Like, okay, the VR2 stuff I get, but are they going to be exclusive to VR? Like, are they going to be exclusive to PlayStation?
oh,
If
PlayStation
not,
VR. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, like, if not, doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Indies and third party reveals, those don't matter to people because you know why? Those normally get revealed by the people, the companies that are making them. You know what I mean? And then you have, like I said, Suicide Squad, Rocksteady, great, but like that's going to be on every console. So Sony might not even, unless they surprise us at the end, Sony might have a state of play where they show nothing Sony besides the VR2 stuff. If and even if those are exclusives, because
They
they
are.
might not, they could be repurposed.
It's 5
You know
year.
what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna be.
No, no,
I think it's gonna be
yeah,
like their thing where it's we finally got like Iron Man and Batman on PC, like those VR
yeah.
games after like 2 years.
But yeah, so
But yeah,
that's what I think is the issue, and I think that's what a lot of these need to fix. I think they need to make them not as common and have more substance behind them that is generated towards them. That's why, like I said, Xbox had a good start just because High Rush even was out of that came out and they got a surprise drop and a lot of people have been digging it and I think that's cool. And it's their title, like something that only they could show. So I think that's what these state of plays need to get to. I think in general, Xbox needs to continue. I hope they continue to follow that developers way, the way that they did it, and I think the other two just need to do that. But
yeah.
speaking of, so we have a Pokemon one, which is strictly Pokemon stuff, which I think is
Pokemon
cool.
Presents is the name. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I had to look it up, and I was like, what do they call it? But it's called Pokemon
yeah.
Presents.
So
Yeah.
Pokemon Presents, I think is cool because it's like we're just going to see Pokemon things, and of course, those are only titled to you know Nintendo.
Yeah.
So they get what we're kind of talking about, where they can only show they're only going to show stuff for there. It's going to be 20 minutes worth of just Pokemon stuff. I'm interested to see what they are showing. They'll probably announce the new update for why am I forgetting the name
Scarlet and
of the
Violet.
newest
I think it's gonna
Scarlet
be.
and Violet?
I think we're gonna announce a DLC pack,
Yeah, I think
a,
there's going to be a
expansion or
patch
something.
for
Yeah.
sure because they need to fix a lot of things in that game, even though it was still great. But I think you'll get some of that. So I think that'd be cool. I think they'll show some of the since Game Boy Color I mean, the Game Boy Advance got announced. I think we might see the announcements of those Pokemon games making
If
it
they put
to
Emerald on my Switch, game over, dude. That's I've been wanting to replay that for. I've been looking at Game Boy Micros every once in a while, and
yeah,
unfortunately, there's jerks out there that sell it like for like $400, $500.
yeah,
But that's a game I will go back to. I think that's the only Pokemon game I've actually played through
all the way.
more than like 3 times. No, I played
Mm,
all of them all the way until I stopped playing through them all the way whenever the 3DS came out. I was like, okay, I'm kind
mm,
of. But all the old ones,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I played the crap
yeah.
out
So
of
I
them.
think that's what we'll get. I think we'll get something along those lines, which is again, it's going to be cool. I think the DLC is going to be announced. And then the patch is finally going to be out, which I think they needed. You know, what I mean, it's a little too late, I feel, but there's people still playing that game, still enjoying it. I haven't beaten it yet. I need to get on that myself. Maybe I need to charge my Switch remote and then get on there and put it in, play it in bed. But yeah. But besides that, I mean, what else? Like, what else do you think they would announce for Pokemon?
Um, Another phone game.
Maybe I think they'll just update Pokemon Go. I don't.
Apparently, I mean, apparently, like reading this, they're like, "Oh, it's a whopping 20 minutes." I never watched. I don't think I've watched any of the Pokemon Presents, and apparently, 20 minutes is a long time for that. So
I
they're like,
mean,
"There's a lot that could be announced," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, makes sense." Um,
20 minutes is a good amount. A good
yeah,
amount of time.
I don't think we get a new game. I kind of hope we
No,
don't. I hope they focus on
no,
this and fix this and be like, oh, we're gonna drop a big expansion at the end of the year. And I would like a roadmap of like, by the end of the year, it'll, the whole stuttering, the frame rates, the falling through the map, all that stuff will be fixed. And you can enjoy the game or something like that. I don't know.
well, they could just drop a new, so they could. I mean, also just why does that game look like crap again?
I don't know,
Like
man.
with the
Like I said, I saw when we got the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, right? I saw frame rate drop whenever he's like like grinded on the rail. I saw it drop, but not like Pokemon. So if they're able to get, Breath of the Wild, the way, like I said, it has frame rate drops. I'm not saying it's a perfect game on Switch, but
uh,
it was rare. Whenever you went into a new area, it loaded a little bit, you got a little bit. That was about it.
they are
Um,
charging us $70 for that Zelda game, so
oh, that's
there's that.
ridiculous. And also, because I know you like deals, right? It is $70. That's not really a deal. I'm not gonna say it's a deal. You can get the
Yeah,
the Nintendo vouchers. So basically, a voucher is you give Nintendo $100, and there's a list of games, and you can use those vouchers for 2 games. So Tears of the Kingdom is on there. Pikmin 4 is on there. So that's my plan. Is that I'm gonna get the voucher, right? And it'll go towards Tears of the Kingdom and Pikmin 4, and I'd save money. I don't technically pay $70 for um, Tears of the Kingdom. So, and they knew that people are going to do that, and that's why they were pushing the vouchers because they want you to buy 2 games instead of one.
well, yeah,
So,
because it guarantees them buying 2 games, which means I'm spending $30 more because I didn't plan on buying another game.
but I did plan on buying another game. So,
Well, yeah, for you, but I'm saying for
yeah,
me, I
yeah.
end up spending more
Well, yeah,
because I
for
didn't
you.
plan on buying another
Listen,
game.
man, I don't know. I
No,
told you.
you're
I told you the
listen,
deal.
your plan is great for the people who are buying 2 games.
Yeah,
I just wanted to buy the one game.
yeah.
But now
Pikmin 4
now if
actually
they would
looks
have
interesting. So,
put that with like, a new Mario or a new Smash Brothers or something like that,
you know
then you
damn
got
well
me.
we ain't getting a new Smash Brothers. New Mario,
Well,
yes. Smash is gonna be a long time, dude.
it's okay. It's all right.
I think we
But
go. I think we go 2 consoles without
they
Smash.
I mean it could happen. You never know. We've heard it for a while,
That man needs
so we'll
to.
see.
I thank that man for everything he did, and he needs to rest.
Okay, well he can rest.
I'll never forget
He can rest.
that direct that he looked. What was it? It's like the second one.
Yeah.
He's like, "We're doing another expansion," and then there was dead silence
Yeah.
of like him looking in the camera. I was like, "I think this man needs help. I think he's not doing
man,
okay."
This man is tired. Yeah. But yeah, I mean it is what it is. But I'm gonna talk about that $70 thing because I don't think we got to talk about it. But
Yeah.
I think Nintendo has some audacity here.
Dude, it was
And it's really making me not want to buy Zelda. Like, and I'll tell you, like, as much as I love Zelda, like I love Zelda, and like I want to play the next one, right? But like, it is audacious for
yeah,
them to be like, I'm going to release this game on the same console that I released
the first
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
and also the first game. And also the first
But
game.
like, no, not even the first game doesn't bother me. But
Well, I'm
like, I'm
saying
just
like
saying,
it's you can't make it better than the first game without like I
yeah,
mean you can only make the story and what we're gonna do a little better, but you can't graphically make it better because
yeah,
Breath of the Wild is the cap. That is the limit.
yeah.
So
Like, so yeah, I get what you're saying
yeah.
now. Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. Because I don't get how, and this is why I was like, when they said it, I was like, am I really gonna buy this game? Because that is audacious to me. Like
Bro.
you really said, I'm gonna charge $70 because next gen consoles are charging $70. Yeah, they're also giving us next gen graphics and next gen processing
In
and
hardware.
and not frame drops.
Yeah.
That's what they're giving us. So like no one like seven and on top of that, people complained about that. Like, you know what I mean? People complained about paying $70 for that anyway. So I don't get this how Nintendo, and of course the problem is we're going to buy it, right? Which is why I don't want to buy it. Like, because the problem is people are going to be like, $70? What's 10 more? I get to play Zelda. And sure, but like, I just feel like that's disrespectful. If they would have given us a Switch Pro, something, I could try to justify it. But even then, it's still not fair to the people who don't want to get a Switch Pro.
Well, it's gonna be like I said. I saw the rumors of the $70, and then I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get the. I thought they were gonna announce the console after that leak that it was $70, and then we didn't. But how you say I'm not gonna pay for it? I'm definitely that guy that is gonna stand in the crowd. You
See?
know, the people that are pissed off and they're like, I'm not paying $70. I was like, yeah, I'm not paying $70. That's ridiculous for this game. And then I'd lean into the cashier and be like, the cash is right here. Can you slip that out the
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
Can you just put that on the back? I'll
See,
come
no.
around. I'll come around back. Okay, thank you.
No, no, no,
All
no.
right.
See, you can't do that. Can't do that. I'm not doing it. You know what? I've decided I'm not buying it until I feel like I can hold out.
You're
But
sick,
I'm not
Nintendo.
buying
Sick.
it.
You're sick. I
Yeah, I'm
accidentally
not
tapped my
buying it.
phone on the scanner thing and
Yeah.
took my money anyway. Give me the game.
Am I what? Not doing it, Nintendo. I'm not buying Zelda for $70. I'm not doing it. Now, if someone wants to buy it for me, sure. But I ain't doing it. And you can't make me. I will not. I will not. Period. End of story.
I mean, unless you're not buying it brand new.
Okay. Yeah, but I told you I'm not paying $70.
Okay,
That's all
that's
I
what I'm saying. All
said.
right.
I said I'm not paying
Okay.
$70.
I'm just making
How
sure that
I
you're
get
not
it-
saying like I'm never playing this game like
Yeah,
me with
how I get it-
Vanguard. So
No, 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 no. I didn't say I wasn't gonna play it.
okay,
No, no,
I'm just
no.
making sure. I'm just
I just said
clarifying.
I'm not spending $70.
I feel you.
There's
Okay.
a big difference.
But yeah, they are. It is ridiculous. I mean, I know. I mean, for a fact, they're working on a new system. They have to be. But what I would want is them like I'm sure they're working on the controller, if that makes sense, because that was the big thing about the Switch. It was like, oh, like feel the controller, blah blah blah. Like I had that little game that like you felt marbles in the controller, you could roll it. I would rather them just take that all out. Like just give me removable like controllers like you did. Just take all that fancy stuff out of it and let me have that fun. Because
My
majority of the
thing
time I
is,
turn it off. Even the PlayStation 5 one, like
all of
the
it.
haptics, I was like, the haptics I have on for like the beginning of the game, I was like, this is pretty cool, and then I turned it off.
I know
I
it.
was like, it's
This is look. This right here, the best controller. Very simple, very nice. Like it's just, I don't care what anyone says. Okay, this is it. This is it. It doesn't have too much. Look at these triggers are beautiful.
like what they added to make
the-
this better was literally this. Whenever this came
Yeah.
out, I was like, oh,
Like, literally, and it's crazy because like these are my favorite controllers of all. And we can't even talk about enough about how Xbox has the best color schemes ever. They get all the best color
That
controls.
new one, everybody is
But
like
oh,
hunting for. I
that's
forget
that
that
the
purple.
oh, it
Yeah.
looks so good. It looks so good. But I can't justify spending a game price on it. But if it goes on sale, I'll be there. My biggest regret ever was when these first came out. When the Series S first came out, like and the X,
Yeah.
n- um, Best Buy had a deal where it was like you get three controllers for 150, and it was $50 a controller, or maybe it was like 130 or something really cheap. And I was like, man, why do I need three controllers? But it was like red, blue, and black, and I was like, why do I need these? And then now I'm like, damn, should have got them. Should have got the
The
controller.
Forza one was one of them that I was like,
Oh
I
yeah,
really want this. And then I actually do I have it
I
in
might get
here?
an Elite too though.
This one I
I'm
had to
thinking
get.
about it. Ooh,
This is
yeah, the 20th
the 20th
anniversary.
anniversary. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had to. I had to
yeah,
get that one, and
that's a good
I had to wait for it to go back on sale and everything because people were
one. Yeah,
scalping the crap out of these. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good one. But yeah, that's what I. So, like you said, I don't know. I think people would have, because I mean, again, how many games are people actually using that for on the Switch? You know what I mean? Like, people are not using those things on the Switch. Like,
Vibration, I turned it
people,
off. It's not cool anymore, man. Like
I don't like it honestly.
PS2 era,
Un,
it was dope. I liked it
yeah,
then, all that stuff. But
I
now it's just
only
like leave my hands alone. Let me play the game.
I only like vibrations if it does something to the game. Like for instance, I think Last of Us, you remember like footsteps, you would get those like when people are coming close. That helps, right? Like it helps me in the game.
Or if it
But
helps
I didn't
aid the scene, like like when Kratos, if
yeah,
something has like a clashing and you're
yeah.
like sitting there struggling,
Yeah.
yeah, that I feel. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
this is
Yeah.
cool and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But other than
But
that,
that's when
yeah,
the haptic stuff is cool too,
yeah,
because
yeah.
like it feels like you're struggling. But when you're like for certain games, it's just like I don't really need that. So I think I agree with you. If they could take out some of that controller technology, and I think the thing is, I don't even think Nintendo needs to get to where the next gen consoles are now, but get to at least where PS4 was. Like you know what I mean? Like, just get there, and I'm good. Like, I don't need it to be. Because I get you don't want it to make it too graphically expensive, because then obviously you want people to be able to play it portably. But like, I feel like, especially with the Steam Deck, right?
I'm
Like,
fine with 1080p 60, to be
that's
honest.
what I'm saying. Like, I mean, with the Steam Deck, like the Steam Deck is out and it's showing you portably this can be done. You just have to put a little money into it, and when you do, people will enjoy it and people will get it. So
Yeah.
I think that's what they need to do, as far as their system, and how they can tune it. I mean, we love Nintendo because they're innovative, right? Like, who would have thought to make a whole system portable, which is what they did, right? They made their whole console portable and add docks, and they always give us that innovative thing, right? And
Yeah.
that's why we love Nintendo. That's why we go back to Nintendo, right? Because Nintendo gives us innovation things. They have great games. That's what they do. But at some point, you're going to you can't keep you know pulling our trust this way, right? Like now the $70 things, we're kind of looking at you with a stink eye. Like we're like, with this console, $70? I don't know, man. Like,
Because
yeah, I
that means
mean,
all the
like,
remasters. I guarantee you. Wait.
no, Metro is 50, if that's what you're thinking. I think
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I was
40 or
about to.
50.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't because I that was one of the things I looked at, and I was like, I wonder how much this is gonna cost, but Metroid Remaster is definitely not full price.
No, it's 39.99.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not full price.
Oh, it's not full price.
60 is
Yeah, I'm
full.
saying
Yeah.
like if they do the $70 thing, I feel like they're gonna start pushing remasters to be like when we finally get, or if we finally get, or probably not because I'm mentioning it. And Nintendo's like, up, he said I put another 2 years on it, but Wind Waker HD on Switch, that'll probably be $60, and they'll
No.
probably treat it as a brand new game.
And
Uh,
I ain't paying for it. I mean,
yeah,
$40 here for a remaster, this is a good price.
yeah,
I will say this is a good price because The reason why this is a good price because this is a fully remade first game. So they did do some work. Like, you know what I mean? They put some work in, they remade it. It ain't
Not
like
like this.
Last of Us.
No, I was gonna say
Uh,
uh
'Cause Last of Us can go as
the
much as I love.
Mario All Stars.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
yeah.
get all 3 games. And I was like, what? And I'm thinking they're remastering it and it's literally just a port.
The thing.
I was like,
Yeah, no.
oh.
Yeah, this I can understand $40. I mean, honestly, $50 wouldn't have been a big deal because of what they did for this game. But it ain't like I said, Last of Us is you can't charge me $70 for a game that you remade, you remastered what like 4 years, like 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Like, no, not happening. So no. But yeah, besides that, I mean, yeah, I think Nintendo needs just a little fixing in there. Hopefully they can get something new for the console maybe before that drops. So I am interested to see what Pokemon has to bring on, and that one's on Thursday. Is it the
Uh,
same day? 27th.
27th.
So
That is.
that is next Monday,
Okay.
and it's a late one because it's a six. No, that's an early one. Sorry.
Yeah,
That is 6 a.m. Pacific time, so that's what
9 o'clock here.
9 yeah 9 a.m. our time on
Eastern
a
time.
Monday morning. That's what a terrible. Like,
Listen,
I know it's because it's a
kind of funny games talks. Blessing always says that. He's like,
yeah.
they were hyping up about the Nintendo uh direct, and he's like, I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a big thing. And he's like, my ass is waking up 6 a.m. to be here to watch that stream and all this other stuff.
Like,
And I was like, oh man, I can do it.
no, man, that's 6 a.m. I mean, yeah, no, I ain't doing that. I don't think no. There, unless you're giving me a God of War direct, I ain't waking up at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
Not
well,
happening.
I will. I mean, we'll talk about it on the next show. I'm
We'll
gonna,
definitely talk
yeah.
about it for sure. Let's talk about a few other things, a little short, smaller stories. So, if you guys didn't know, the Blumhouse is getting into horror games, which makes a lot of sense to me because they tell these fantastic horror movies, but they're going to get into the game space. Maybe we'll see a Get Out game. How about that? Ever thought of that one?
No.
I don't know what you would do,
No.
but it would be cool.
These are
It'd
the
be
guys.
cool.
These are the guys that made this was the article you sent me
Yeah.
yesterday. Megan or
Hmm.
whatever her name is.
They made Megan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Blumhouse, they make a lot of horror movies. A lot of the horror movies that are coming out now are Blumhouse made. It's very few that like they took over one like they've pretty much taken over the horror genre at this point. So now they're finally getting into games, which I think is a smart move. I mean, because why not? You're already making all these horror movies, you make horror TV shows, get into horror games. If you can use the, you know,
I'm assuming they're gonna
I
make it like, but also this is gonna remind me. You can
hmm?
get this game. You can get this game on PlayStation Plus right now for free. It's the game of the month or whatever. But the Quarry, I feel like that's the route they go. Is the
Well,
Quarry and
yeah.
Until Dawn, like that kind of game,
Mhm.
not like not Resident Evil, like or you're walking around or anything like that.
Hey, you never know though. You
I
never
mean,
know.
but I'm just saying, like I feel like they can get more quick stories out there with if
Yeah.
they take that approach, and people like that approach because there's so many people I know that do like a house party, and they're all they get popcorn and stuff like that, and they sit and go through the game together. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
It's a good cool idea. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see again. They could make some money off of that. Those game titles that you just said would be perfect. I feel like that works for them. Maybe after that they'll get into a little bit more different styles, but definitely that's a good way to tell different stories that you probably don't want to make into a movie that you can make into a 5 hour playthrough. So why not, right? I
yeah.
think that's cool. You can even add to your movies for that and then do the whole, platform thing. And the good thing about horror stuff in general is that it's usually cheap to make. And if they're really good, it makes double what they made and they make a ton of money, which is how Blumhouse did its thing. So I'm pretty excited for that as a person who loves horror movies and stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Uh,
What else? Go ahead.
Speaking of movies, did you see the Tetris movie coming out?
Yes. Yes.
I watched the
I am
trailer yesterday. That movie looks dope. I'm excited
yeah,
for it. It looks
yes.
really cool. Has the
I am
dude from
here for it.
Kingsman in it. I
Yep,
don't know his actual name, but uh it's based on how Tetris got to America, which is very
yep,
cool. I didn't know the history about it, and I
yep,
read a little bit about it. And this is Apple Plus's blown up proportion of it, so it's pretty
yeah.
cool. It looks pretty dope.
It's gonna be pretty dope, I think. I think it's gonna be pretty dope. Another cool thing, I just saw this today actually, but if anyone is a Magic the Gathering fan, they are releasing Lord of the Rings cards. Their next pack is gonna be all about Lord of the Rings, which I thought was pretty cool. But wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Oh,
And then go
okay,
ahead.
you can go ahead with yours, and then I got
No,
another
go
thing.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay. I only watched one episode so far, but the what is it called? Uh, yeah. So Double Fine which is the creators of Psychonauts, right? That's the
Oh yes,
yes.
I know
Okay.
what you're
So
talking about.
okay. So they filmed
Yes.
6 years, right? Full 6 years of Psychonauts 2, them developing it. This is the most we've seen, right, in a gaming space. This is what I want. This is what I wanted. And I've been looking at like, oh, maybe I like looking at different career paths, I guess you could say, of like what should I pick up? I looked at like lighting in video games. I don't know what that is. Like I didn't think there's a lighting person for video games. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
But it literally starts off with Psychonauts 1 comes out, right? They're sitting at the table and they're like, what next? And they're like, Psychonauts 2. And then the documentary starts. It is a 32 episode
Yeah,
documentary for free on YouTube. They're 40 minutes each. I think they had like a crazy, let me see if it tells me the amount of hours of film they had.
it's a lot.
Dude, it had like 500 something hours and they
Yeah,
cut it down to these 32 episodes.
yeah.
Um, you see people leave the company, you see the drama, you see everything. It's literally, if you want to know how a game is made from start to finish, um, definitely go check it out if you're interested. I also think it helps the world understand that when delays happen, or I feel like when delays happen, or if you're, people sending death threats and everything, or whenever, like, just update, like, how hard is it to update this game and all this other stuff, I feel like it gives us more of an insight of what it takes to put out
I mean, there's
this
so
stuff.
many things that, again, and the problem is with that stuff, and especially when you get into business, and not, I'm not saying like I'm all the way into business, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
just saying like now that I understand it a lot more than I used to, right? Um, a lot of the things now is there is so many like there's so many like loopholes, and there's so many things that a business tries to do when they're coming out with stuff. Like some of the times, yes, they're just making stupid decisions that like we're not going to put that past people, right? Because sometimes they can just make a dumb choice and it's a bad choice, whatever the case may be. Sometimes though, they want to release it, but sometimes people are not paying enough for it, or
Hmm.
not, they don't have enough funding for it, so they get put in a weird situation where you're like, how am I going to make this game if I can't pay the people to make this game? Right. And that's the thing. So, like, yes, was Psychonauts a cult? It was a cult classic. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't get about cult classics is that cult classics don't mean that means you bombed and you just became uh a lot of people enjoyed it. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot of people paid for Psychonauts, because sometimes they got it for free or they got it for a cheaper value on what you call it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just an example of what happens with this. So, like, that's what happens a lot of the times with the games and stuff like that. And then, like you said, sometimes there's these huge layoffs that people are leaving, and there's no like like now you have to teach someone else up in order to follow the person that just left. Like you know what I mean? There's a lot of those things that happened, and Psychonaut 2 was fantastic too.
Yeah, this one
So
says Double Fine Adventure earned praise for its raw, intimate look at good, bad, and ugly sides of game development. As the crew spent years filming in Double Fine Studios as a broken age came together. But we also get to see what people are excited about for this, like the big thing. we get to see the acquisition, like what it was like to be in a studio when the acquisition of when Microsoft came in and got them.
Yeah.
Like we get to
Hmm.
see that happen of like, oh my god, now we're getting funded again. Like let's keep going. So,
Hmm.
yeah, highly recommend. So cool that they did this.
Yeah.
And it's like it's the fact that they the fact that somebody or that team was like, it could have very easily been when it got to the hard parts, or if crunch happened or anything like that,
Yeah.
that
They
they
could
could
have
have been
cut it
like,
off.
cut the cameras, don't film this or anything, and they
And
kept
honestly, we don't
rolling.
even know. There's probably some stuff we don't
We
even
don't
see.
know.
Like
Yeah, well, yeah.
that could be.
You're right.
Yeah.
But
But
hey,
it is
this is
cool.
this
Yeah.
is the closest we've ever been. The last gaming documentary I watched was the one on God of War when it started. Um,
Hmm.
at E3 when it's like it was the prep for the trailer, and they were like they showed the trailer of the newest God of War, or the first one, um, and then they were like, okay, now we have to make the rest of the game look like this. It wasn't even done. Like they were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we just worked on the trailer to get
Yeah.
the trailer looks
Hmm.
like this. So now we got to figure it out. So I'm
Yeah.
excited
It's
for
a
it and
lot.
definitely check it out. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't have to watch because I've never played Psychonauts 1 or 2. Probably after this, I'm
Wow.
probably gonna play both.
Wow.
But you don't have to know
Wow.
anything about the games to watch this. So
Wow.
yeah, you said cult classic.
Wow.
It's kind of like Beyond Good and
No,
Evil.
it did.
Beyond Good and Evil is a
Okay.
cult classic.
It is. That's why you're not getting the parts.
You see, he hurts me. You see that?
Listen,
You
I'm
see that
sorry.
abuse?
It's too easy at this point. But let's talk about our last thing today, and that's Microsoft binding a deal of Call of Duty with Nintendo, even though they're about to do an EU Activision hearing. Because from the last time we spoke, guys, there's been a lot going on with this Xbox acquisition, the acquiring
Activision.
of Blizzard,
Oh,
Activision
yeah,
Blizzard.
yeah.
Yeah, so they haven't. It was a done deal. It's still a done deal, but now the folks at EU are saying there might be some foul play, which that is what Sony's trying to petition because they're like, oh, how are they going to just have all these games? I think Sony's just hurt, but
Well, they're
because they
claiming a
didn't think,
monopoly in the
yeah,
UK. Yeah, in the UK. So
but it is what it is, whatever. But before that, he's even prepared to have that talk. Apparently, they signed a deal with Nintendo saying, "Hey, look, Nintendo is going to be able to get Call of Duty the same day that Xbox does, and some other Xbox." It says, "I'll write what it says here." It says, let me read this real quick. It says Call of Duty will be available to Nintendo players on the same day as Xbox with full features and content parity under a 10-year agreement with the two platforms. That's what Microsoft's Brad Smith announced. The deal was announced in early December, but Smith is offering more details today ahead of the hearing in which Microsoft will argue its case with the EU regulators to allow the $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty publishers, Activision Blizzard, to proceed. As my colleague Tom Warren wrote in December, the Nintendo deal is almost certainly part of Microsoft's attempt to pressure Sony into accepting a similar offer and allay regulatory competition concerns. PlayStation makers are emerged as one of the chief opponents of Microsoft's proposed acquisition, saying it's a risk reducing competition by locking key franchises like Call of Duty to Xbox consoles and Microsoft services like Game Pass.
mm.
Sony is so salty by this. And it's so funny to me that they are salty by this because Microsoft just has the money to do it. And they're just like, wait a second, we can't do this. We had to make our own games. I think it's funny.
Well, I mean, they did it back in the day. I mean, Call of Duty used to be, what was it? One of the big YouTubers I watched when I was younger was LEA, and he played
Mhm.
Call of Duty on the Wii. So it
Yeah.
used to be on Nintendo and stuff like that. And when Microsoft
Hmm.
had it, Microsoft had that contract. And then I got moved to PlayStation, and then things started falling apart. So,
Well, PlayStation's problem again is that they don't want Microsoft has been at least this for this generation has 100% been about the players. They don't care if you buy their console. They're like, you want to play our games? 14.99.
and they're actually making
Like,
it way, they've been working harder to just like, their base, if they could, they would give you the system. They would.
Yeah,
That's what it seems like. They. It seems like they would come
that
personally to your house and be like, "Here's an Xbox, man. Here you go." Because like the whole TV thing, and then the
yeah,
whole USB stick when that comes out,
dude,
like
all
it's
of it.
yeah,
They
it's,
don't. That's what I remember. Remember, I said this. I don't know what episode, but we can go back to the records. I said Xbox's whole deal is to get people to subscribe for this because they're going to do away with consoles. Because if they can get, if they can unrestrict themselves from you having to buy an Xbox, they're going to become more profitable because it will be very similar to what Netflix are. Because at the end of the day, Xbox has already admitted they cannot sell the same amount of consoles as Nintendo and Sony. It's just not happening. But also, we know that it takes a lot for these consoles to become profitable, right? Even though Sony and Nintendo are selling crazy, it still takes a while.
mhm.
Nintendo is profitable. Sony's getting there, right? Even I mean, Xbox is doing a good job at some of its sales. It's not great, but again, they don't. If they can have you, oh, you have a PC, 14.99, and you know what? You know what? Your PC is probably even stronger than our system could get you, and you can upgrade that whenever you want. But you know what? We're gonna give you a wide array of games, 14.99. Same thing. TV people. You got a Galaxy TV? Perfect. Guess what? 14.99. You can play all of our games.
And then they get
And
to the
I don't
Sony TVs. You have a Sony
yeah,
TV. Well, we can't negotiate with them, so we're gonna
yeah.
make you a little
Yeah, a
USB stick.
stick.
Plug it in the back.
14.99. So that's their goal. And I
Yeah,
think obviously it's going to put them in a little bit of a hole.
yeah.
But if again, they've been doing this for a while where that technology is the best on the market. It's the best way to play cloud gaming now. So I think eventually it'll work out for them. But this is another move for them, right? It's like I don't care where you play our games as long as you're playing the game. So making this deal with Nintendo makes a lot of sense. Of course, it's going to look terrible on on the Switch and stuff like that, depending on if they don't repurpose it for just the Switch. But I get Microsoft's idea. Microsoft's idea is to be like, we want you to be able to play these games. And people are thinking that this is more so for Call of Duty. I'll tell you what this is actually for. I actually think this is for Diablo more than it is for Call of Duty because Call of Duty is great and all, but playing Diablo on my Switch is a lot more makes me a lot more happier than trying to play Call of Duty. Just my thoughts with that, and I think playing those kind of games with like the Blizzard stuff would be a lot better. So I think that's what their real play is. Obviously, people, because I mean, the target audience for Call of Duty is a lot, are not really Switch. Like, I'm not saying they're not Switch players because obviously we all play Switch, but people are not going to go and buy Call of Duty on the Switch.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They're going to buy it on another console before they do that. But I think games like Diablo and stuff like that, yeah, let me get that on my Switch. Like, because even because that the view would look great, you don't require that much graphics. Like, it doesn't need to look great. But if I can play Diablo portably,
And cross
so
save. That's what they need.
exactly,
We always need cross save. So
always. But I think that's the move. Any thoughts on that before we head out?
no. Xbox keeps doing their thing, man. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. Like imagine the flex though. Like you're being sued and it's just like we're signing this deal. And it's like, are you
Yeah,
sure? Don't you guys have that? Don't worry about them.
yeah.
Let's worry about this deal.
But I think also because Sony has been such dicks
Yeah.
that people are just like, you know what? They don't seem like Xbox doesn't seem like Microsoft doesn't seem that bad. Like, you
No.
know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you guys want to do crossplay? Sure. The people holding us back. Hey, it's Sony. Like, you know what I mean? Everything that goes back, it always goes back to Sony. It's like, oh, we want you guys to be able to all play together, but you got to talk to Sony. Like, you know what I mean? And everyone is just like, damn, like that does kind of suck. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's been a lot of that though.
Yep.
Like when the whole Apex thing started, like all of that was always Sony was the last ones to be on board about it. So I can see Microsoft now using that as, hey, we haven't been the ones that are stopping all this. It's them.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? And now look at them. They're trying to stop us from doing something else, like by getting acquisition. They're just hating on us. Like, even though they're totally like I get Sony's point, and I think it's a valid because there's a lot of they are acquiring a lot of gaming things that can become a monopoly. But Sony also knows a lot of people play Call of Duty, and a lot of people are go buy their consoles to play Call of Duty, even though it's not a first party title. A lot of people do it, so I think that's where Sony is now like, hold on, like we can get rid of Elder Scrolls, like yeah, because those don't come out every year, but like Call of Duty, nah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the big deal is that. So all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you for joining us as always. Like I said, Chris and I did drop that Last of Us episode 6. Also, you guys can catch episodes 1 through 6 pretty much. We have them on YouTube. We also have them on anywhere you guys get your podcast. You'll see them all listed under the Last of Us reviews. So go check those out. Comment on the YouTube so we can tell, see what you guys are thinking. I might actually I might do a giveaway, but we'll see. We'll see if I can dig up some of my Last of Us stuff. But if not, you're not getting them. but if not, then and I have to have a double because I might have a couple doubles. But yeah, we might do some giveaways and stuff like that. We haven't done one in a while, so check that. Be on the lookout for that. Notifications, all that stuff, so you guys know when we're live. But besides that, until next time, fire